Imagine if you could have an easy-to-use system to be fully in control of your data when you surf online. Well, that was exactly the topic that we tackled with the App Store Legal Design Challenge. This challenge was an 8-week journey in which 5 teams of legal professionals from all around the world got to design and prototype a potential groundbreaking innovation to help you be in control of your data. Before I let you watch the short replay video of the art gallery where Academy members got to present their prototype, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge you for being here, for your interest in this really important and much debated topic that is privacy online. And so before you watch the video, I'd like to just put this in context so you know exactly what you're gonna see. You probably have heard the battle of the giant between Facebook and Apple. Apple has just released a new privacy feature designed to empower you to make better decisions when you download and use the apps. And Facebook expressed deep concerns that this new feature on the App Store may completely disrupt all of the targeting that is being done for you to receive ads on your phone using the data. But once you look closer at Apple's new privacy feature on the App Store, you will see that the information related to the data being collected and used is not verified and is not vetted. This means the app developers could say absolutely anything, and you would not know for sure that what is indicated on those privacy labels are actually accurate. And this is why we decided to take a closer look at the timeline of events to understand what is really happening on the iPhone and all of those apps that you're downloading and using every single day. We understand that this new release by Apple is very promising. We also understand that many users got really concerned when WhatsApp updated its privacy policy. We also understand that Facebook and app developers are concerned because they would like to target you to give you some advertisements so you can buy those products and services. But we also understand that you would like to be empowered when you use your phone to make better decisions, to decide more consciously whether or not you would like to give up your data. And for that reason, we decided to do the App Store Legal Design Challenge, where we use the legal design innovation methodology to come up with creative solutions. What you're about to see only took 8 weeks. 8 weeks, 5 teams, and 1 challenge to ensure digital privacy for all. What you're about to see is absolutely groundbreaking. Some of those solutions are totally revolutionary, and the great news is you can be a part of the revolution. So make sure to watch the presentations to connect with the presenters and also to support them on their journey. Some of the teams are already talking to investors and about to launch campaigns. So depending on when you see this video, the campaign may have been launched. So be sure to connect with the teams, to support them, and to be part of the solution and not stay stuck in the problem. Let's make digital privacy real for all, because we are daring to think creatively about the law. Enjoy this video and let us know your comments in the chat right below so we can have a conversation. Thank you for being here. Enjoy this art gallery by Legal Creatives.
Even if you are only seeing me presenting the job, but Beatrice and Peter has done the job with me. Beatrice more than me, and so it is not my work, it's the team work. Beatrice is from Italy as well, is from Milan, and Peter is from the east. And what was our task? The aim was to make the App Store privacy features more effective, so to try to ensure digital data protection for all users. We started identifying the problems, and we choose to identify the problems from two perspectives that were similar: the developers one and the users one. As you can see, there are some of them that is just from the developer's point of view, lack of transparency, and all the others are common ones. So lack of awareness about data use, risk with the data processing, lack of economic profit or benefit, that it's and lack of aptitude and lack of time. So after we identify these problems, we just choose the stakeholder interest and so obligation, because we wanted to redraw these privacy labels, appointing to one of the stakeholder interests. And so starting from the problems we mentioned before, the interests connected with these problems are about transparency, awareness, right to dispose, about data, of course, and the obligation regards legal obligation and contract obligation. Of course, from the user point of view, there are not so many obligations, since he just can choose if you want to use this app or not. While from the developer point of view, there are some contractual obligations that are set up by the contract that is made with the App Store and also with the app developer. So in this way, in this sense, developers usually try to force the user to give his or her data by making the access to the app conditional upon provision of data in a certain way. Other stakeholders that we identified were, of course, authorities, third parties, and we just point out which were the barriers from that point of view to make this kind of environment of the data protection safer or healthy. So you see that going down from the app, from developer and Apple, they could have interest to discharge, for example, Apple, their responsibility about the data protection usage that is made by developer. Developers are not so kind about transparency, but from the other side, they don't manage everything because they have to respect what are the guidelines of the Apple Store. The authorities probably are the more powerful parties we can regard to, because it has the authority and the right to intervene, but just after something is happened. So sometimes it can intervene, it can do something also at the beginning to see if the app data protection rules are compliant with the law, but in other case they can do something after just there is a denounce or something else. Third parties probably the not so important from our point of view. So the second step was to choose a stakeholder, and we choose the user. So what do we want to do for our stakeholder? Starting from the problems we identified in the first step: more clarity, simple text, plain language, better UX, and colors to make much more easier to understand how the data are collected and are used. And we didn't have enough time to do it, but also we thought about make some pop-up that can bring the user to another page or another section to enlighten some important some important information. Then the next step was to prototype a solution, and we try to create new features for a better interaction. Of course, we are not developers, we are not Apple, and our focus is on the users of the app or on the app stores. And our solution aims at enabling users to gain as much awareness, comprehension as possible, and reference to private statements. So how we try to do it? These are our guidelines. Priority. That means that we choose just the most relevant information for the user. You can imagine how many information are in the privacy labels or in the privacy settings and so on. So we have to cut many of them and just to enlighten some others. Other guidelines was about the color code scale. That means referring to the traffic light, we choose to enlighten this way. The first one was about putting a red, green, or yellow color to put attention on how the data are easy to see and also to manage. And then, of course, to apply this color scale, this color code, we refer to GDPR principle and provision, because we assume that GDPR is the most, from the user point of view, is probably the better rules we can apply. Of course, it's our opinion, and since we are European, I don't know if any other people from other countries in the world agree with that, but we just have to choose a guideline. So we choose that GDPR was the best. So what about priority? We decided that the privacy labels of Apple have already focused on two elements that are which kind of data, so the what, and why, I mean, for what purpose they collect data. And so we decided to add three more focus about who is enabled to get access and use of the privacy data, and also where are the data processed from the, so we can of course refer to a certain type of regulation, and how can the user manage the privacy settings and exercise his or her rights. According to those priorities, we choose, as I was saying you before, a certain scale, a degree of risk in the processing of the personal data or in the understanding of the information provided. And we try to transform how is now. You see on the left, there is just on the app privacy, for example, data used for some use and what kind of data. These are what and why. And then we added the other three elements. Of course, on the right side, you see that this is just the first page. When you go inside who, for example, you will see much more information. But for the purposes of this presentation, it's enough to understand how can be transformed the label. And we decided to make an example of Facebook label. So probably it will not be such a surprise to see that the result of our exam is that. So Facebook is collecting everything in a critical way. But going deeper, just to understand how we done this kind of check, we added this section. So for the who section, on the top of the pyramid, you see you and your friends and authorities that are the most powerful about which data on Facebook to share. Then Facebook and Facebook group, that are the people, of course, the society. In Facebook group, there are many other people. It's not just the companies controlled by Facebook, but they can share inside this group. And then there are all the other parties, external suppliers, other companies, direct, different from Facebook. About where, just to see how the traffic light works, if you want to use this kind of method for other app, if the app developer or the owner of the data is inside Europe, is green because it applies the GDPR. If it is outside of Europe, but it's something that is compliant with GDPR because there is for example, a decision about the European Court or something else, so you will be yellow. And if there is nothing about it, it's red. And the last one is how to manage. Here, unfortunately, it is in Italian because it was really difficult to translate. But you can see that these are all the sections you go through. You have to go through if you want to manage your information. It's about guidelines, privacy, and just activity register, control of your privacy, and you see how it's difficult. So in this, for settings, we decided that red, green, or yellow was it about how easy it was to go and to manage. If you just have one click and you are clear information, you are green. If you have 2 clicks and clear information, you are yellow. If it's more than 2 clicks or unclear information, or it's impossible to manage all your information, so you are red. So this is our work, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefano, for presenting your work. Great job with lots of research, lots of investigation. Let's have a little bit of interaction with the audience.
Good morning, everyone. We're the Americas team. We're representing Brazil, Panama, Peru, and the US. So very international. I think we can each introduce ourselves very quickly. I'm Julian. I'm an international lawyer. I live in Brazil. And I work in the marketing area between the legal and marketing in the area of intellectual property. Firstly, I want to say thanks to Tessa and Legal Creatives for the challenge. It was a really interesting project. I can say that we all agreed that it was really worthwhile and that we learned so much about privacy and data protection, and that it was a great experience. What I'm going to do first, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we framed the question, or maybe how we reframed the question at the very beginning. Afterwards, my colleague Deneen is going to talk about the relationship of our project to GDPR. Then Camelin is going to talk a little bit about our research process and how we came to our aha moment. And also, then we're going, Antonella is going to talk a little bit about our persona, and then Melissa is going to present at the end our solution in a little video that we've done. Okay. So, and at the very end, we're going to obviously open to questions to the audience. Okay. So at the start of this challenge, what we did, we just dove into the world of app privacy. A lot of us already had significant experience with privacy law in some capacity, with GDPR and other jurisdictions, but there were still loads of new surprises in terms of what we found. The first thing we really observed was that Apple had taken a huge leap in terms of what it had already done. They had really reinvented privacy and security. Suddenly it was possible to follow clearly when apps use your camera, when they use your mic. It's more easier for users to limit the access to their photos and location, and things like that. So for us, this was a huge surprise, right? We were positively surprised at how easy this was, because we hadn't actually engaged and done it for ourselves. But then we kind of thought, well, if we're so surprised by it, people who have already worked with privacy, worked with GDPR and things like that, what about other users? Who's actually, do they know it exists? Are they using it? So who's actually telling them about it? That was our first thing. The other problem that we identified was the problem that Apple is currently relying on self-reporting. So in effect, none of the information that's provided to Apple is verified or vetted. So it's another problem that we identified for users or for the whole environment. Then on a more, I guess, political way of looking at it, we also saw that the public outlook has been changing recently a little bit towards technology companies. And we certainly observed that there's been increased scrutiny by stakeholders like governments, employees, and consumers on what tech companies are doing and how they're using our data. So the second thing that we found was, and this was very interesting for our project, that we were seeing that there's a new wave of competition for businesses in privacy. So they can compete on who is doing privacy better. And straight away, we saw that this could be something interesting for us to explore as part of our project. So this culture shift towards activism and accountability for users was something that we found very, very interesting. So Antonella, would you mind going to the last, to the problem slide, please? Perfect. So the problem was initially framed by legal creatives. And we decided that instead of focusing on the idea of enforcement in our quest, we would like to focus on raising awareness, in incentivizing and empowering users. So the problem for us became, how might we raise awareness, incentivize the veracity of apps' privacy policies, and empower app users via the App Store? So we changed the question a little bit. And that's really it for me. I'm going to pass over to Deneen, who's going to talk a little bit about GDPR before we get more into our solution that we developed. Okay, thank you very much, guys.
Hi, everyone. This is Deneen Warmington, and I'm just going to get straight to it. So as Julian pointed out, we're focusing on users, right? So we know the GDPR, California's Privacy Rights Act, Brazil, and a lot of other countries now are coming out with their own privacy laws, and it's revolutionizing data privacy. But those laws all focus on what? The business owners, right? The data collectors. It gives a guideline and a framework. Like in particular, GDPR, they want to make sure that users have give consent to their data being collected, right? Informed choice. So they set all of these guidelines. They even say, okay, if the data collector, the businesses like Facebook and Google, if you violate our privacy laws, we give you a fine. This is all good, but it's forgetting one thing. These data privacy laws are consumer rights, right? It's a Consumer Rights Act. So what about the consumers? So we want to make sure the consumers actually have an informed choice, right? They actually know what personal data is being collected. We wanted them to know why their personal data is collected. Now remember, this is what the GDPR says that businesses have to do with their privacy policies. They have to let consumers know it's an informed choice. They have to let consumers know what personal data is collected, why it's collected, who it's shared with. But guess what? Users do not read privacy policies. And you know what else? The App Store nutritional policy, it's not laid out in a way that really gives users an informed choice, that really lets them know what personal data is being collected. So we looked at the GDPR, we looked at California's Privacy Rights Act, we looked at Brazil's, we looked at all of those. We looked at the laws that they laid out for businesses to follow, to put in their privacy policies. And we said, okay, now let's let consumers know their rights, because this is a Consumer Rights Act. We want to give consumers the power to make an informed choice. We want to give them the power to know what data is being collected. And then we also want to give them the power to say no. We don't want users to, after the fact, when Google receives a fine or Facebook receives a fine from violating GDPR, to say, oh, wait a minute, that's how my data is being collected, that's how it's being used. We want to cut that off. We want them to make the choice before there's a breach, before there's a fine, before there's a violation. So we use GDPR as a base to come up with how to really give users an informed choice, how to give them a power. So our main goal is, one, clear choice for consumers to know what is being collected, and then to give them a choice, clear choice to opt out. So that's what this all is about, clear choice. So we use the GDPR as a base to put together our package, and I will hand it off to Camelin, and she will show you exactly what we put together.
Hello, my name is Camelin Leone. I'm an attorney in Virginia, and I'm also an adjunct professor at the University of Virginia Law School. So our research process, we started with trying to identify the stakeholders, and we went through the analysis of who the stakeholders are. And there are many. There are the users, there's the app developers, there are governmental regulatory agencies. Who else are there? Well, anyway, those are the big ones. And then we did the impact effort analysis, and we first tried to focus on developers. We thought if we can find a way for developers to hold themselves to a high standard on data privacy, that would have the most impact. So we created our point of view statement. And the point of view statement was, developers need to ensure data privacy to maximize demand and profits for app development and sales. Then we decided to test our point of view statement and our stakeholder by creating a survey for developers. And we had a nice little Google survey, and we posted it all over our social media platforms. I even sent it to app developers that I know personally, and we got 0 response. So we decided to go back to the drawing board and brainstorm. And so we were all sitting around talking via Zoom about privacy and who really cares about privacy and what is universal. Who is the all in data privacy? And as we were talking, we started talking about our kids and how all of us, even if we're not parents, we have a story about kids using apps and parents being surprised to find out what data their kids were unintentionally sharing. So that was our aha moment. And our aha moment led us to a new stakeholder, which we identify as people who care about privacy. And in that group, parents, or people who take care of kids, as our new stakeholder. And we came up with a new point of view statement. Parents need to ensure data privacy because they want to keep their children safe. And then we had a brainstorm. Okay, parenthood is pretty universal, even if you're not a parent yourself. And what images or metaphors can we come up with about data privacy that are also universal? And in our brainstorming, we came up with 2 metaphors or 2 images that drove our prototype creation. And those metaphors were the stoplight, red, yellow, green, and the smoke screen. So from that launching point, the smoke screen, clearing back the smoke of data privacy, and then giving parents a tool as simple as a stoplight, we developed our persona. And now Antonella is going to talk about the persona.
Hi, everyone. Well, a persona, it's a tool that we have used in our brainstorming stage, as Camille mentioned. And it's a tool pretty powerful because it helps to give your customer segment a face and a name. And also it's a tool in which you can, for example, know what your customer wants, what they are their hopes, their fears, And it's really important to put a name and an age. So in this example, our persona is Catherine. Catherine is 35 years old. She's a mother. She has two children, John of 10 years and Anna, who is 15. She's pretty concerned about her data privacy, but also her son and daughter spending too much time with social media. So she's wondering if they are sharing too much information with their applications. So while she was reviewing her email, she got a notification from Apple App Store, a presenter smokescreen, this Grateful app, an application where she can see in a very easy and friendly way all the personal information, all the personal data that she and her children are sharing. So now Melissa, she's going to explain how our application works.
Hi everyone. I am Melissa. I am from Panama. I am also a lawyer, and I dedicate myself to everything that has to do with policies for websites, like terms of use, creating business of e-commerce. And I've been in legal design since last year. I think it's going to be almost a year since I started this journey, and I'm really enjoying it. And also, thank you for the opportunity. It has been such a great time with the team, and we have learned a lot. So, okay, can you put me the next slide? Okay. Well, as the team was commenting, we came up with a solution of using the traffic lights to create an awareness on users, okay? And how to, go after that smoke screen. When you take out the smoke screen of what is data privacy, we came up with this solution. And something that you were asking before was how we could deal with visual disabilities. Well, iPhones do have a filter for people with color blindness, right? But as Camille said, it's not that easy to find it. And maybe there are people that doesn't know that the iPhone has that feature. So what is the first thing for we to come up with? I mean, it's very important when you create a prototype that you make life of the users easier. You don't have to give them a lot of cognitive load. They don't have to think a lot to use your application. And that is what we wanted to create. We wanted to create an application that were easy to use, everything accessible, everything explained. And that is my first slide. I mean, when you open your application, can you go back a little bit, Antonella, to just show the homepage of the, okay, no, the before. Okay, so this is our iPhone, right? You have your iPhone, you have all your applications, and you have Smokescreen. Smokescreen is an application that that can be installed after you update your iPhone. And if you buy a new iPhone, it will come with it. Okay, so when you open your application, and then we'll go to the next slide, you will see these three dots. Okay, and when you tap on each dot, you will see an explanation of what is the meaning of each dot. So if you tap your red dot, you will see that it's all about your shared data at the moment. When you tap the yellow dot, it indicates the limited data that you have, and the green dot means that is no data shared. So let's see a little example, and we're gonna go to that. Okay. Another great feature that our application have is that you can turn on your notifications. So you will receive a monthly report about how is the status of your applications regarding data privacy. Okay, so you can just click on the bell and you will receive a monthly report. Okay, and then in the other slide we have an example. For example, WhatsApp. You have WhatsApp and you open your application and you will see the details, the dots. So of course, red means that you're sharing a lot of information, right? So you click on the red dot and you will see your settings. The application links to your settings, and you can see which are on. So you have the choice to choose. You have the opportunity to choose which settings you want to keep on. So you are choosing which type of data you are sharing with that application. Okay. And if you just turn off your settings, you will see that the dots will change automatically to green. And that is like actually our main, this is like like the whole idea to create an application that was user-friendly, that was easy to understand, that people could make choices in a very easy way. And well, we're gonna have a little video so you can see how it will work in the real life.
Wow, well done, everybody. Well done to Antonella, Cameline, Deneen, Julian, and Melissa. What a journey. What a journey it has been for you all.
So let's start our challenge, and by presenting our team. We are the Francophone team, and we choose the name P Angels, Privacy Angels, with Inca, who is a French freelancer and startup and expert in social law. Sandrine, which French and European trademark and design attorney, and Armel, our expert in DPO and head of compliance. And I am Dora from Tunisia, and I am a lawyer. I want also to share with you to summarize our journey and how we find the solution for this challenge in few steps. So we try to apply the different steps of legal design process. Okay, so we take a long time to make research about the data privacy of Apple and analyze their legal obligations. And this research make us a lot of time because we have an expert of DPO, so we deep in data privacy, but we remark that there is another point related to stakeholders and which type of problem they are facing about protecting their data. After that, we move to choose the stakeholder by using the matrix impact and efforts, and our choice is the perspective of Apple, because ensure an effective data privacy will have a high impact for Apple and for her reputation. After that, research about the users of App Store, we choose our persona, and we observe her user experience to identify their pain points and what are their real needs. We move then to synthesize what we find from this user experience of our persona into insight. And we combine the three elements, persona, a need, and insight, to obtain an actionable problem statements. And we start sharing different idea, but no one answered for the entire problem, till the engineer's idea happened after a long work, and we prototype a solution. So I give the mic to Anka to present the persona, and then Sandrine will present the solution.
Because we are the privacy angle, so I need my wings. I became the case study in our team. So we talk about an app that accompanies you to respect the personal data on the iPhone. And yeah. Who I am, I'm living in France, but I come from Romania. I'm 41 years old. I'm a paralegal. I work for lawyers for a couple of years. And now I'm working by myself. I don't have any child, but I'm really interested about new technologies. And I'm a busy woman. The girls told me I'm really a busy woman. I have to tell you about it, because the solution became for the thing I'm really busy. I have 70 apps on my iPhone, and 5 I use them every day, as Facebook, Slack, LinkedIn, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And before the challenge, I didn't interested at all on the GDPR question, but I was really interested in the protection of personal data. The girls asked me my problems with the data, and the first time I was very shocked. It was when I connected first time on Slack, and I noticed that the field was automatically filled up with all the information. It was really unpleasant thing for me to discover this. So we identified 3 difficulties in my case. Accessibility, how to easily find what data is collected by apps, because we have to talk a lot to find in my iPhone the information I need. I never tried by myself to find them, so I need the girls to put some question and try to find this information. The second is clarity, how to understand the data that is collected. It's not very easy, because sometimes you have to go in your own app in your iPhone to see. and control, how to have control over the data collected. So because I'm really busy, we decided to prototype a native voice app in the iPhone because I didn't really know when I got my iPhone, I could ask to have some protection, but I didn't do it. So we thought it was easier a native app on iPhone, and you just ask what you need to protect your data. You put one question and you have the answer from the app. Thank you very much. Sandrine?
Yes, hi everyone. Okay, so we have identified Anka's pain points, and now we come to the rather pragmatic part of the presentation. So the solution. What solution? This is what took us a lot of time to try and find. What solution could we find to answer and address Anka's problems and pain points? And so we have thought of an app, and as Anka specified, a native app. Why native? Because it has to be closely connected with App Store, of course. Where we have arranged all the different types of data according to 6 thematic categories. So you have the categories appearing on the screen, hopefully. You have my identity, my health, my finance, my network, my world, my IT activity. These are the 6 categories that we have come up with. And within each category, we have specified which types of personal data are included. And by the way, we took up Apple's names, Apple's labels, because again, this app is supposed to be closely connected with App Store and with Apple. So we wanted to keep, to harmonize all the labels, all the names, and even the various icons used to show this close connection. The purpose of this classification was, of course, to increase user friendliness, but also clarity. And the different categories were meant to increase accessibility, to help users to easily or more easily find the different data which are of interest to them. For instance, if they want to look up for sensitive information and to identify which app shows or collect sensitive information, well, then they can just click on my identity and then access the information. We will see that later on in the presentation. As you can see also, we have inserted icons, various icons, which are meant to avoid cognitive overload, to help the user quickly embrace with the eye the information and well, find the information quite easily and quickly. And another point I wanted to focus on is that the user has the possibility to search for information either by category or by app. So here we are in the category section, but if we click on by app, of course, we have the list of all the apps which the user has on their iPhone. The second purpose, apart from user friendliness and clarity, the second purpose was to increase user engagement. And that's why we chose to use the pronoun or the adjective my identity, my health, my finance, etc., to engage even more the user. This is what we try to do. We also inserted a mailbox at the top of the app so that we could promote interaction between the user and the app developers, and also make things easier for the user when they have questions. We will see that later on. Now, let's look at the finance category. If we click here on the finance category, here is what happens. We have here a layout which is quite similar to that of Android, or maybe other systems, but at least Android takes up this kind of layout. So we have a list of the various types of data collected, and the number of applications of apps collecting this kind of data, and the icons of the relevant apps as well. So this is quite similar to what already exists, but what differs is that we have added the possibility for the user to click on the icons to get further information on each of the applications, of the relevant applications. So if you click, for instance, on the icon App Store, then you have further information. That's what we are going to see now, and we will take the example of clock. So clock, this is our example. Now, when you land on this page dedicated to clock, you have actually a screen with 3 sections. I have control section, I have a problem section, and then if you swipe, you have the final one, which appears at the bottom, which is called I have a complaint. So you have 3 sections which are presented in a rather synthetic way, hopefully, and the user may exercise all of their rights at the same place and very easily. So they may use the buttons. You have buttons here in green that can be activated to give consent or to retrieve it, and you are walked through the whole process. So this is quite convenient and user-friendly for the user to use this kind of page. And the sections, the different sections, the different titles here are compliant with GDPR. And we have also drafted this or prepared this page with the idea that we wanted the user to be engaged and to be completely engaged. So we use the pronoun I, the first person singular, again to show that the user is actually in control, is implicated. Now let's look at the I have a problem. I have control. I have control section. So when you click on I have control, you have this page which appears with a grayscale section where you have an overview of all the types of data included in the collected by the application. And you may, of course, decide to give your consent to each of these data using the button which are at the right-hand side of the screen. Again, this is a presentation which is rather simple, synthetic, and this is what we wanted. This is well, the user has an easy way, or is walked through again to control, to get control of their data. What is different with what exists currently in iPhones is that with iPhones, as you can see on the right-hand side of my screen, this is a screenshot of an iPhone. You can, of course, manage in a way your data, but it only concerns certain type of information. And here you can see that it only concerns contacts. So you can accept consent or retrieve your consent, but only in connection with contacts. So this is not a comprehensive way to, I think, to manage your personal data. Here with our solution, we have a more comprehensive way of managing personal data. Then, if you click on the second title within I Have Control, we have inserted a grayscale section where insightful information appears. The purpose of that is to explain that the user, that what it actually means that their activity is tracked. The objective, our objective, is that the user may give consent knowingly, that is, with the full knowledge of the consequences. So this is a way to empower the user and to help the user to understand actually what it means to give consent to the collection and to the use of their personal data. This was something which was really important for us, and we did that for all the last two sections, which appears on my screen. So, again, we have inserted informations for the user to better understand what it means to give consent. And now, if we look into the I have problems section, again, we have the same system. We have more information which appear when we click on the titles. So you see that under to get a copy of my data, which is, of course, a right of access, which is compliant with GDPR. When you click on that, then you have first this legal information, just out of curiosity, if people are curious of that. And then we have inserted text message looking bubbles here in orange. Oops, sorry. In orange, to present things in a rather dynamic way, like a conversation between the user and the developer. The idea was, again, to increase engagement. Yes, to increase engagement. And so we did that for each request that the user may file. You can see, and the objective was, of course, to engage, but also to make things easier for the user. And the final part, I have a complaint. This is designed to help users who do not have the possibility of requesting data protection authorities to help them in case of a real problem with developers. In the European Union, we have data protection authorities who have this responsibility to protect and to give fines to developers who are not compliant with GDPR. But in some countries, there are no such authorities. So we thought that the best authority that could exist could be Apple, because the sanctions could actually be economic sanctions, economic fines, or rather economic sanctions. So we devised this kind of presentation with, again, a text message looking bubble to help the user in an easy way to file a complaint. That's what it is. And well, to conclude, the solution we have devised, we have tried to craft, is a way to manage more easily personal data and in compliance with GDPR. Our objective was to make things much more empowering, but also more engaging for the user, and to help him through this process of managing their personal data by making things more accessible and easily to address. And these were actually the pain points, NCAS pain points that hopefully this solution has addressed. But again, maybe you should tell us what you think, because we could not test our prototype with a lot of persons. So your comments will be absolutely welcomed.
Thank you very much, Sandrine. Thank you to all of the Francophone team for presenting such an exhaustive solution. Really well done, well designed, nice frame, wireframe.
I have a video, Tessa.
You have a video?
Yes.
All right. All right, so thank you for sharing the video.
Hello everyone and welcome to the App Store Privacy Challenge. We are the transcontinental team. So the group consists of 3 lawyers, myself, Carmen from Spain, Camila from Colombia, and Jasmine from Algeria. I have also to add here Larissa, which also was at the beginning collaborating with us in this challenge. So the presentation of today is divided in 3 parts. We have the discovery, problem, and solution, as the other groups have already mentioned. So to start with the discovery, we're going to present you our insights about this challenge. So moving on with the research insights, we have mapped out the stakeholders, and we found out that the stakeholders have different and contradictory needs and motives. So we found out 6 stakeholders. So it's Apple, the users, app developers, data brokers, governments and regulatory bodies, and advertisers. So from an Apple perspective, Apple's interest is based mainly on commission and market. When it comes to app developers, their interest is based on monetization. And users, what they want is privacy and free access to apps. And when it comes to government and regulatory bodies, they want policy enforcement. And the advertisers, what they want is basically get access to data insights. So our mission is to ensure privacy for all. So we have decided, we have decided to pick one stakeholder that potentially had the greatest impact and the least efforts. And the winner is Apple, because we consider that is the most powerful stakeholder. So to understand the stakeholder Apple, we define our point of view. So basically, as you can see here, as iPhone users start to be concerned about their privacy, Apple has proposed this new privacy feature, as the other groups have been talking about, the privacy nutrition labels. And Apple what wants is to improve their market through, more secure iPhone features, and they want to get revenues in app purchase commissions. So now let's move to the problem, which Camila is going to present.
Yes, so hello everyone, I'm Camila from Colombia, and I want you to pay attention to the problem. The problem that we will solve is that Apple privacy nutrition labels are misleading. And the reason for this is that because Apple does not verify apps' privacy claims. So because there's not this verification process, Apple cannot guarantee that privacy is being well protected. So next slide, please. This is unfortunate because of two reasons. The first is because it contradicts Apple's claims that privacy is a core value. And in this, we had the same extract as the Francophone team. And it's because Steve Jobs always had this under well, as a major subject for Apple. The second reason will be that users are not aware that these privacy terms are not verified. So they are sending the users to check on the privacy terms and conditions, which is actually not the point. This is supposed to be a problem fixed by the feature and not something that remains as a problem. So all this means that users' privacy will remain unprotected and without the possibility for them to control what's the access these apps are going to have on their privacy. So the third thing will be that, this gave us our objectives, and we have two objectives. The first one is to transform the App Store new privacy feature and make it much more effective. And the second objective will be to empower users with awareness of this misleading feature and convince them to petition to change it. And Jasmine will present the solution we found after this process that was a bit long, but you will see it's a great solution.
So hello, everyone. I'm Yasmin Hidouk. I am a trained and corporate lawyer from Algeria, and I have the great pleasure to present to you our solution. So to solve the problem and reach the two mentioned objectives that we designed, objectives that Camilla has mentioned, we have designed the following solution, which are comprised of two parts. So the first part is a more effective iOS privacy feature, plus a campaign to raise awareness amongst the users on how misleading the current labels are and getting hopefully Apple's attention to change them. Do you mind? Yes. All right. So before we show you the prototypes, we wanted to tell you a little bit about who we had in mind as our persona when we were designing the solution. We actually chose as our persona, our past selves, the people we were before this challenge, because we have learned so much during this challenge. But before, yes, we knew about privacy issues, but we didn't necessarily feel empowered to be in control of our personal data. So our persona is the regular Jane. Sorry, can we go back? So, in her mid-age, she has a college degree, a job, uses the phone a lot, either for work or for being on social media platforms, but doesn't necessarily know how to gain control on the data she's sharing. So the feature we decided to present to you is called the data transparency feature. This feature is inspired by an existing iOS feature called Screen Time. If you actually have an iPhone, you might have seen it. Screen Times allows users to track the time spent on each app on the phone and be able to limit and control the time they spend, set limits for every app. Pablo Picasso himself said that art is theft. So we actually didn't feel so guilty to be inspired by an existing iOS feature. And since our stakeholder is Apple, we thought that if we go with something they already have and know how to make, it will be easier to implement. So what does this feature do? So we designed the data transparency feature to allow the data collected by apps to be more visible, more transparent, and more controllable by the user. How so? So first of all, the data needs to be more visible. Would you mind, Karen, moving to the next slide? So first of all, yes. So to make it more visible, actually, this app would show exactly how many data points are being collected on a daily and weekly basis on the app. It shows also which app is collecting the most data, so users can clearly identify those apps. Second, so the second functionality aims to make the collected data more transparent. So instead of accessing unverified privacy policy claims, as it is the case now with the nutrition labels, our solution allows the users to see the exact data collected about them. For example, they can go on contact info and click and see what contact info they have given the app. Similarly, for more sensitive data, such as their financial data, they can go and see what has been the exact data that has been collected. Finally, our solution will allow those users who will grow concerned after seeing how much data is being collected from the apps to easily access the settings to change privacy restriction for each app. And instead of going outside of the app and changing them, they could easily be directed to that. So this is the feature, the presentation of the feature, but as I told you, our solution is in two parts because we understand that raising awareness is very important and hopefully getting our voice to Apple to do something about it. So I'll hand it off to Camilla to present to you the second part of our solution.
Yes, so we decided to go a little further with our prototype, and we decided to do a campaign, an awareness campaign, because I think this is one of the principles of legal design in its applicability. It doesn't work if we propose a prototype and it's just going to be between us. So we said, okay, how can we convince Apple to actually do this? And we decided that the best way was to do this campaign. So we decided to do this hashtag, which is privacy is power, for three reasons: to spread awareness, to make privacy a new trend, and especially because it's in the user's hands, the solution, because Apple will listen to their users and the users have the last word on this and they have the power to change it. If they complain about this feature and about this misleading feature, well, Apple will listen and will correct this feature. So we thought about transmitting the idea through an online campaign. So we created the hashtag so we can open discussion in social media, but we also created posters on the different formats for Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter. And yes, what we want is to make people concerned about privacy the new cool, like to show that this is not something that we don't care, that this is something that we can't control or we can't manage, but really empower people and empower users to ask Apple, to ask this company to change and to actually do what they're supposed to do with this feature, which is the whole point of this exercise with legal design. So yes, we have these three goals, and we decided to create a petition on the website change.org. So there you can find the petition. So people can sign it, and maybe this is also another way that Apple will listen to their users. And I think this is great for also like the market, because of course the competition like Samsung or Google or the other platforms and big enterprises on this, they will see that Apple did this, and maybe they will also propose this for the other types of telephones. Yeah. So this is it.
Wow, that's really an amazing presentation. So much creativity in action. Wow, I'm really impressed. I love this idea of a campaign. I see people are clapping as well.
Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon. I'm very happy to be with you today. I am Katsuren, and here with me are Mauro, Marina, Fernanda, and Alana. We are the Brazilian team. And in this challenge, we had a question in mind. How to make the new Apple Store privacy feature more effective? Well, in your view, it was important to give back control of the data to all users. So we started by defining the persona for the solution. And Alana will talk more about it. It's with you, Alana.
Who is the persona? Who is the user? There is Debbie, our persona. She's a mature businesswoman who wants to work with technology in peace. Now Deb is concerned with the data economy and all the risks around it, maybe because she's too busy updating herself about them. Nowadays, Deb thinks technological resources are sometimes difficult and insecure. Deb is collaborative and creative. She would love an innovative solution for this context. So, what is the user point of view? Next slide, please, Mauro. Deb needs to be in control because she does not trust in others to protect her privacy. And why our persona is an user? Here, we have a representation of our brainstorming. We considered as stakeholders app developers, Apple, users, and advertisers. We debated about each one and indicated solutions on Miro. You can see each square around is a possible solution. Taking care, impact, and effort, we decided to empower the users with the choice of data collection. Sometimes users want to share data. Sometimes it brings insecurity. And remember, the solution we developed could be incorporated by Apple Store. So now, Mauro, our solution, please.
All right, thank you, Alana. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
All right, hello everyone. So to answer this question, we envisioned and designed the following solution. This is the My Data, My Rules mobile app. Integrated into the user's smartphone, this application provides information about the user's data and offers 3 different options to the user manage their personal data. The first option is the general control. In this option, the user can see 4 types of data. Registration data like name, age, and gender. Consumption data like shopping cart history, purchase history, and others. Device data as the device ID, the device location, and so many other information that apps collect from our devices. And also sensitive data. These data are those data according to data protection laws like GDPR or LGPD in Brazil that have some risks to the users like discrimination, racism, and prejudice. The second option is the control by type of data. For instance, if the user wants to know which apps are collecting and using their names, they can check this out. And they also can manage this. And the third option is the control by app. In this case, the users can check which data one specific app is collecting and using. For instance, here we can see what WhatsApp needs to access: list of contacts, camera, microphone. If we check other app like Uber, for instance, it's different because Uber needs our location, our battery usage. And what about if we check Facebook? Oh my God, Facebook collects everything. Sorry, just joking. But this joking was important to say that sometimes the truth is, sometimes we need anyone to receive ads. For instance, my fiancée bought a flower that needs a special vase and she can't find it anywhere, online or offline. In our app, she could set here to receive ads related to home items, or in this case, she could specify the special vase and inform that she wants to receive ads about this product until the end of March. Summing up, we consider this app as the most effective solution to ensure data right protection for all users in Apple Store. Now, we would like to share with you how we built this prototype. We would like to present you Adobe XD, that is a free online platform for prototyping. For those who are familiar with programs like PowerPoint, Canva, or Illustrator, it's very similar and easy to use. You can do everything in design, like changing color, size, distance, everything. Really friendly to us lawyers. But the most interesting thing is the prototyping feature. That is nothing more than the possibility to connect one point to another. In other words, you can say to Adobe XD, when the user clicks here in this button, this other page will appear, and so on. Here, you can see all the connections we have made in our app. And the final feature, and it's very nice also, is the sharing feature. Adobe XD provides us different sharing options. You can share with your teammates and they can change the prototype, or you can share with your developers and they can build the real app. And you can share with the users and they will be able to test and feel the experience, but not changing the prototype. And we did this. We would like to receive some feedbacks from the users and we send a link to them. Now, Marina is going to share with us the results of these tests. Marina?
So after the prototype, we went straight to the users so we could have feedbacks. So what are they thinking? What their opinion? So we found out that only 50% of them really thinks that privacy protection is important. Almost the majority of them does something or a little to protect their data, like they go for it, they want to know what happens. And now about the app, we found out that 66% of users would definitely or for sure use the app. They understood the language, 89% understood it, 83% haven't had any difficulties with the app, and 66% had a great or good experience with that. Now, our most important data was that you can, yeah, thank you, Mauro. 72% would definitely or for sure recommend the app for data protection. That really shows that we have went in the right path, and we have got more effectiveness to put the data in the hands of the user, because almost the majority of them really understood and would recommend it, the app for their data protection. So we've had some feedbacks as well. You can, thank you, Mauro. As we have done a really straightforward research, we have done really straightforward feedbacks. So they said that it was really easy to use, really simple and intuitive. So you can, thank you, Mauro. You can go. Now I'm gonna leave you with Fernanda to talk a little bit about viability.
Hi, I'm Fernanda. Now we will talk about viability. We talked with developers teams and they told us that our MVP is viable to develop. They told us that in the moment, will be better to develop a simple version with some features like our MVP. Home code works in interaction with the other apps, like one firewall app do today. The investment that will be to do that is $15,000. For one beta version with more interface in the other apps and more functionality, we will have to discuss with them in the future to calculate the costs. They do the viability for us using the developer app from Apple. Apple have a developer app and they use that to do our viability. And you can test this tomorrow. We invite you to test our MVP. We will send you the link on the chat to test our viability. And thank you for your attention. And now we are open for your questions. Remember to vote.
Amazing presentation. Congrats to the Brazilian team. You went way beyond what was required for the challenge with this little survey you've done. But it's not just a little survey. It seems that you've been able to do a quick user research, and that's really amazing. So let's